There we go. Cannabis news. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's August 23rd, 2019. The end of another week here at the Marijuana Times. You can find us at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there to find the show. A bunch of great articles as well. Today we're talking about South Dakota and marijuana law reform there in an attempt at adult use legalization, or at least to get it on the ballot. Also a Wall Street vet who became a cannabis billionaire. And something funny for the end of the week from Fox News. When it comes to marijuana, Mary Jane, all that coming up. First, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by NatureSide, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides can be used for all kinds of things, including cannabis growing and keeping pests away from your cannabis grow. Don't use banned pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free. Don't put harmful chemicals on what you are growing. All of these things are possible with NatureSide. Nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Thank you, NatureSide. This first story by Julia Granowitz at marijuanatimes.org. South Dakota activists aim for cannabis legalization in 2020. In recent years, Julia says attempts to get both medicinal and recreational marijuana legalization on the ballot in South Dakota have fallen short. However, there are currently two different legalization initiatives that are preparing to begin the process of signature gathering. Part of that process requires the state attorney general to provide an explanation of the potential ballot measure. Recently, a description was released for a proposal that aims to legalize recreational cannabis while also requiring the state to implement medical marijuana laws and regulations for hemp production. The constitutional amendment legalizes the possession, use, transport, and distribution of marijuana and marijuana paraphernalia by people aged 21 and older. Individuals may possess or distribute 1 ounce or less of marijuana. Attorney General Jason Ravensborg, a Republican, wrote, said marijuana plants and marijuana produced from those plants may also be possessed under certain conditions. There's also a different initiative that is being put out by an organization called New Approach South Dakota. They've announced they have been certified to gather signatures. Each group is going to be required to gather 33,921 signatures if they want to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot. But New Approach is planning on collecting only a little less than 17,000 signatures to put their proposal on the ballot as an initiated measure and not a constitutional amendment. So if you're in South Dakota, you've been looking to get active, you've been looking for something to get behind, well, this is it. The time is now, as they say. And they do say that. I am one of the people who says that. This next story from Greenpreneur, the greenentrepreneur.com. I just shortened it for some reason. I don't know why. It's greenentrepreneur.com. I guess it could be green-to-preneur, but no, that doesn't sound right now because I've said it a second time. It sounds like a word that doesn't roll off the tongue. Story. This story is about how this Wall Street vet became a billion-dollar cannabis success story. The average cannabis consumer may not have heard of Kevin Murphy, but they've surely seen the headlines he's made as the CEO of Acreage Holdings, the largest vertically integrated multi-state cannabis company in America. Of course, last year he got former House Speaker John Boehner to join his board of directors. Then Murphy's company produced a cannabis Super Bowl ad. When CBS rejected it, Acreage spun the moment into PR gold. In April, Murphy made headlines again when he sold Acreage to Cannabis Growth for $3.4 billion. Of course, we talked about that merger before as incumbent on and based on legalization, federal legalization of marijuana in the United States. He said, the article says it's been a great run for this former Wall Street investor who first got involved in cannabis in Maine 8 years ago. Acreage's portfolio includes cultivation, processing, and dispensaries. But despite now being one of the industry's major players, he believes there's still plenty of room for small businesses with big ideas. You want to see this interview? They did a full interview with him with, all of his answers and such. If you want to check it out, it's linked in the description of this video, as are all stories that I talk about on the show for you more business-minded folks who watch the show. When I was a kid, I remember being in, doctor's office or whatever, being 12, 13, 14 years old, and liking to pick up the Forbes magazine and stuff like that and read that as opposed to whatever other garbage they had. At least I could read about successful people, because I figured that's a good way to be successful yourself. And I have found that for the most part, that is true. This last story from Mashable Fox gets weed wrong again, says homeless people shoot up marijuana. Fox News guest said that San Francisco should be focused on solving its homelessness crisis instead of trying to improve the language used in its justice system. Specifically, they should focus on those on the streets who just shot up marijuana. Yes, that's right. It's funny. It's a little funny something for your Friday. San Francisco's Board of Supervisors adopted new person-first guidelines to refer to people with criminal records. Instead of calling someone a convicted felon, for example, the city would refer to them as, quote, a formerly incarcerated person or a justice-involved person. Now, look, what the person on Fox says is dumb, but this is kind of dumb too. I mean, convicted felon, it has to be changed to formerly incarcerated person. It sounds like they're trying not to say something. It sounds so unnatural that they're avoiding other terms. So how that helps, I don't know. Repeat offenders will be called returning residents. Okay. Minors, instead of the word minor, they're going to replace that with, quote, young person with justice system involvement. Sounds like a lot more words. And if they're printing this out, it sounds like they're going to kill a lot more trees with the printing of all this extra paper with all these extra words. You can also use young person impacted by the juvenile justice system instead of juvenile delinquents, because I guess things like minors and juvenile delinquents are just too short. We're just going to really elongate that to make people feel better. I guess drug addicts will be called people with a history of substance abuse. Well, of course, Fox made fun of this, and then this is from the Damage Report, which I believe is a Young Turks program. They discuss what happened and play a little clip of it. Check it out.
Fox News had a guest on and brought up the drug problem, but I'm not really sure he knows what drugs are. Let's watch.
California has tried to clear out their prisons, and yet every year they continue to have overcrowded prisons. And the focus ought to be on a society that follows the law, not allowing people to defecate in the streets, not allowing individuals to lay on the street, having just shot up with marijuana and having heroin and having a needle sticking out of them. We ought to be focused on solving crimes.
Are we being too hard? Is that a slip of the tongue, or does he think that you shoot up a marijuana
I think
to get high?
It makes me feel better today if I believe that guy really thinks you shoot up with marijuana.
Okay, so but what do you really think?
I think it was a mistake because he paused as they paused, and they were like,
Yeah, this is obviously a slip of the tongue, but one, it's funny, and two, it's not a slip of the tongue anyone around marijuana would ever make. It's always a joke when you say shoot up marijuana. It's a joke. Although this Mashable article does go on to wonder if it's possible if marijuana could be shot up. I don't know why you would want to. Apparently there have been cases of people attempting to do that. Dr. Bob Melamede, who has a PhD in molecular biology and biochemistry, is a vocal advocate for the therapeutic use of cannabis, dismissed claims of injectable THC. He told Westword, a Denver local news site, in 2013 that THC can't be suspended in a liquid water-based solution. These are basically oils, and oil and water don't mix, and they certainly don't mix into any kind of form that's going to be injectable, he said. One of the many drawbacks to me of other quote-unquote recreational drugs when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, was a lot of them were injected. If someone said to me, well, we want you to like tie your arm off and do this thing and then find a vein and then take this needle of drugs and shoot it into your veins. No. None of that is going to happen. If marijuana was only in injectable form, I probably would never use marijuana. Even if people tell me, oh, it's going to do great for your stomach and it's going to be amazing, I'll say, well, you're going to have to do it. I'm not going to be able to stick a needle in my arm and do that on a regular basis. I have enough problems with medical professionals doing that. But I have to find some other way. It's not going to happen. Just like snorting. I'm not going to snort anything either. I snorted pills once a long time ago. I thought I was going to die. I began to wonder what would happen if I burned a hole through to connect to both nostrils, because that's what felt like was happening. Never snorted another thing. No, if I have to snort it or inject it, well, I guess I'm not doing it. Sorry. People say smoking's bad for you. I'm fine with smoking. I'll smoke till the cows come home, as they say, before I inject anything in my arm or snort anything. It's not going to happen. There. Now you know a little about me. Go enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Thank you to NatureSide, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you all for watching and listening today, and we'll see you next week right here in Cannabis News.